Welcome back to our channel. I'm Alexa, your netball bestie, and together with Jenna, this is Your Netball Besties. It's been a week of emotional highlights, especially after the Lightning Firebirds game making multiple headlines. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and don't forget to select the little bell notification so you don't miss any of our videos. And of course, share this video with your netball besties. All right, let's get straight into our game analysis, Jenna. So the first game of the weekend for this split round was Lightning versus Firebirds. What was the score with that one?
That was 64-50.
So the elephant in the room was the star of the show, which is none other than Australia's boyfriend, Robert Irwin. We've all seen Lightning's incredible campaign to try and get him to actually turn up to a game. I was not expecting him to turn up, were you?
To be honest, didn't think so. By the sounds of it, they even kept it a surprise from the players. So he just walked out and everyone was like, oh my God, but I think it's the funniest thing. Like, I just thought, what a good sport. Like, That was just hilarious, and what a good way to bring some positive attention to netball.
100%. We've spoken before about how much, like, advocacy work he does for female-based issues. Love this from him. If you didn't already have Australian women, like, wrapped around your finger, you most certainly do now.
Yeah. And if you haven't watched the Bonds ad yet, go and watch the Bonds ad.
Do yourself a favour.
Yeah.
I feel like it's illegal. I'm so much older than him. He's like 5 years younger than you. He's like, what, 15
Oh, yeah,
years?
so that's even worse because that's my brother's age. So, yeah, he's a baby.
I'm 38. Someone do that math.
He's 21. Yeah, so he's a baby.
So that's 17 years.
So that's morally wrong.
Oh my gosh, that's 17 years. No. Okay, scrap what I said. I didn't watch the Bonds ad.
Yeah, no.
Congratulations to the Lightning marketing team for actually making that happen.
Good on you.
So let's talk about Lightning starting seven, because we have seen a few unfamiliar starting sevens for the beginning rounds, but Lightning started strong with, I guess, what we were expecting their starting seven to look from day dot.
With Steph back in GA as well. I think that was a big change.
Good to see that she's hopefully moved past whatever injury she was working through, because yes, obviously love seeing Steph.
She didn't play the full game in GA though, to be fair.
No, but we did chat about that, didn't we? We're wondering whether that was to do with the fact that her accuracy at the beginning of the game wasn't high.
She was quite a bit off in the beginning.
So it felt like maybe there was a bit of tiredness and exhaustion there, and then as soon as she was moved into that GS bib, her accuracy percentage went straight up.
Yeah, which that tells me that she's definitely getting tired. So maybe she can't necessarily, run the GAs anymore.
I don't want to talk about like Steph not being GA. Like, it's too painful.
It's the reality.
No, she's Lightning GA for life. From the get-go, the Lightning attack did look strong, in contrast to Firebirds attack, which it just seemed to have just consistent issues feeding to Mary.
It was almost like a form of hesitation. You could see that they were almost too hesitant to put the ball up. But there were times where Mary was there holding the space, calling for the ball, and they just wouldn't put it in. I think it's almost like they're forgetting she's like almost 7 foot tall. She's crazy tall, and there was a 9 centimetre difference between them. There was no reason that they shouldn't have put that ball up and high in there.
I mean, respect to Irvin, who had clearly spooked the feeders.
Yeah, she had a phenomenal game as well.
Such a good game. Yeah. Loved seeing her out there. While I was watching Mary and the way that she was moving in the circle, all I could think was that because she wasn't getting the feeders passing to her where she wanted, she started moving essentially like a GA. And so we essentially had a 7-foot GS, and they were playing, the attacking end for Firebirds were playing like a moving circle, which just felt bizarre. And it wasn't working.
No.
Like, it wasn't working. And I was just wondering, why are you not sticking to that traditional tall holding shooter? You're a 7-foot goal shooter.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a bizarre strategy that they were working with. Mary seemed to be doing a lot more moving than necessary.
Yeah, I think it just very much came a little bit like frantic. You could see there was a bit of like panic in the attackers because they were just so, credit to Ash Ebb for doing her job, but there was no reason they shouldn't have not had the confidence to put that ball in.
100%. We literally see this strategy working so well for the 4 other teams that have that tall, strong holding shooter. It works so well to essentially use your GA as that backup WA position. And then slash 2-point shooter, and then utilise your tall holding shooter holding strong, and that just didn't seem to happen.
Yeah. Even when the GAs would pick up the shooting or they would go for the super shots, there was no one positioning themselves for the rebound.
Yeah.
So then immediately Lightning were getting the turnover. So I feel like, especially when you have Mary Cholik in there, if she wasn't the one taking the shots, why would you not be standing there under the post ready to grab the rebound if needed?
Very interesting choices in the circle in regards to, I guess, just putting yourself in the best position for whatever's going on. In regards to the GA positions, I mentioned to you, I really feel like Moore is the much stronger GA than Dwan in this Firebirds lineup. And I know they're obviously splitting the position at the moment.
Yeah.
But Moore shoots from anywhere. Yeah. She is kind of like Matisse in that sense where like she's confident to wherever she gets the ball, she's going to shoot and she's going to get that goal. Whereas Dwan seems to hesitate a lot more. She passes out of the circle. She tries to get herself closer. And we know that when shooters do that, especially when you have like elite defenders, they're going to just like run the risk of losing the ball. Like, I'm not sure why she hesitates so much, but I really think that Moore at the moment is the standout for that starting bib.
Yeah, I would say so. One thing I did also notice as well was there were a lot of times where the Firebirds were so keen to get on with the game that they weren't actually listening to what the umpire's call was. So they were just sort of frantically running with it. And then we saw at one point them actually get told, no, didn't set the play, and it got turned over. And I feel like in those sort of moments, you need to listen to the umpire. You need to stop. You need to have a little bit of discipline, use the opportunity to reset if you need, instead of just being so, because that frantic, let's get on with it sort of play was also losing them a lot of ball.
Yes. Yeah. And something else that we both noticed, which was that the scoreboard, like halfway through the game, did not reflect how the game momentum felt at all. It was very clearly Lightning had control of that game and had momentum, but the scoreboard did not reflect that at all. There was only 2 goals in it, I think at halftime or in third quarter, which was so shocking. But that really seemed to flip when Steph moved into that GS position. Her accuracy went up. All of the shooters' accuracy went up because it seemed to be that's where Lightning were losing it. They were getting those turnovers. They weren't converting on those gains. And then as soon as that accuracy corrected itself, then it was just kind of like it was theirs for the rest of the game.
And we did see the injection of Courtney Bruce come onto the court. But then also notably, we did see her come back off and actually receive treatment on her calf again.
She looked really uncomfortable.
She
there
did,
some shots of her.
yeah. And this seems to be a very much of an ongoing issue with her. I know that towards the end of last year, she had that cyst removed from her ankle, but you just can't help but think, players like Courtney and Joe Weston that seem to just sort of almost be plagued with all these injuries. Like, how much more severe is it than we actually know?
Well, I think Joe Weston mentioned, was it Joe Weston who mentioned that how long it takes to recover from calf injuries? Like a really long time.
I mean, hopefully it's something Courtney can overcome.
Oh gosh, I hope so. Like, I love Courtney. She's such an incredible player. And, one of those players I think brings a lot of stability and, trust and leadership on the court in any team. But at the same time, Irvin just really shone, didn't she? Like, there's no denying that.
I think when you're picking your starting GK, I know who I'd pick, and I'd be Irvin. If I actually prefer in that setup to see Courtney come in at GD, because I think that way she's got all the space in the world to hunt for ball. Irvin had her hand in everything. She was just all over it. Very, very exciting to watch.
She does have some competition with Tegan O'Shannessy.
Well, if Tegan keeps playing the way that she has been playing, you never know too.
It seems like our options for Diamonds, future defenders, seems pretty stacked, whereas like our shooters...
Yeah, we do have a bit of a shooter shortage. Especially, at the moment, some of our shooters have been a little off.
Yeah, we'll touch on our Diamonds shooters a little bit later in the Vixens Fever game, because we've got a lot to say there, don't we?
Yes.
So touching on the net points leaderboard, we've chatted before about the fact that they've obviously reduced how much we're seeing that on the screen. They're not discussing it as much as they used to, which I really miss, so please bring it back. Again, this is why I think it's so important, because if it wasn't for looking at Ruby and her points on the leaderboard, I would not have known that she was making as much of an impact as she was, based on the control and momentum that the Lightning attacking end seemed to have vast majority of that game. And because there weren't any, I guess, spectacle intercepts or anything like that I saw. So I wouldn't have known that Ruby had racked herself up so many leader points if it wasn't for seeing it.
There is a website available called Champion Data that does break down things like that.
Definitely matters a lot more to me, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Let's talk about the absolute highlight of this game. This was without a doubt the game of the weekend. For me, this was such an emotional journey because of Cara Conan's incredible performance the entire game. Now, even Kath Cox made similar comment that this is possibly the best game we've seen her play in a really long time. I would say it's potentially the best game we've ever seen her play, which was so unexpected given, I guess, what a tough last couple of seasons, even in the Diamonds. We haven't seen her at her full strength or really performing at the level we've become so accustomed to seeing her. So watching her absolutely dominate for the entire 60 minutes and then top that off by silencing her critics and taking those two beautiful super shots at the end, like the feels were just like I screamed by myself in my lounge room. I just screamed at the TV. I was so proud of her.
I really liked as well seeing how her almost do a little cheer to herself, and then the way the whole team were up and cheering too. Like, you could feel the support she had, but also in a way it's really good to see that, you know, she's taking on the feedback. All of last year it was she needs to add super shots, It's a big vote of confidence now. She's feeling better, and when they are in those tight pinch moments, she does feel just as confident to put them up. There's the safety of being up and then attempting them, but I feel like that's just the beginning, you know, get your 100%. Eye in, get your confidence, and then I would love to really see her with a game-winning clutch 2-point shot. Like, that would be great.
With Cara playing like this and hopefully with Steph back to her 100% and no more injury niggles, and with Irvin performing the way that she is in defence, I think that Lightning are real contenders this year.
But I also want to say congratulations to Cara Cronin for 100 games and Mahalia Cassidy. Big achievement.
Let's chat about Jenna's favourite game of the round. So
what makes you think that?
Why on earth would I think that this was your favourite game?
I don't know what would have given it away.
Possibly your favourite game so far this season.
It was a good game. First and foremost, welcome back, Janelle Fowler.
Yes, welcome back.
That's a way to come back.
Yes.
I actually had so much stress going into this game. Yeah. More for the fact is I just wanted Janelle to just feel the warm welcome. I wanted her to have fun playing again. I wanted to see the team lift. Win or lose, it was more important for me to just see the team lift and see them be like, oh, cool, you know, like we got back. But that's the Fever we know.
Yeah.
That's Fever.
Fever back.
Fever back. And she just provides so much stability in that attack end. And you could see it, like, the first quarter, there were a little bit of mistakes. It was almost like, oh, okay, hang on, let's figure this out. But as the game went on, it just got smoother and smoother.
Well, those mistakes were definitely even across the court,
yeah, to be fair, it was both sides because it was very frantic from the get-go. Maloney and Jordan Kransberg were at it, which was quite funny.
It was actually wild how much that whistle was getting blown in the first
quarter. I'm sitting there going, oh my God.
It was literally just like a little bit of a ping pong game with turnover and then turnover, and it was ridiculous actually.
I thought the umpires were pretty onto it this game.
Yeah.
Especially the male umpire. I thought he was really good, really consistent and really on top of it. I don't think the umpires get enough credit sometimes.
Well, so, I mean, after the last time Fever played there, I don't think the umpires got a very good rap, did they? That's a whole other kind of worms. It was a really good game to watch.
It was good.
Well, for us as Fever fans, it was a good game for us to watch. I really liked seeing how much the centre pressure seemed to be really strong for both teams as well. There seemed to be a lot of holding up the ball in that centre that centre third for a really long time. Like both were, the defensive pressure was
You could almost say
strong.
more than 3 seconds.
Yeah. It was good pressure. I liked the pressure from both teams,
Yeah.
defence all the way down the court. I liked it. The scores were fairly even from the first quarter. And then obviously we had all those turnovers. Fowler was looking stronger and fitter than I've ever seen her.
Oh, the same. I thought the same. The way she was moving and positioning herself, and she's just looking, stronger and fitter than ever. She's
100%.
really looking in great form, and I'm so happy to see that.
I was really surprised, and I don't know if it's linked to the fitness or linked to, Dan and just what she's been directed to do, but it seemed like she was positioning herself a lot more towards mid-range shots than right under the post like we would normally see her. Obviously, she always does her split and then her step in, but that has been her go-to almost 90% of the time for her entire career.
Yeah.
But we really saw a lot of variation from her this weekend. Like, she was taking mid-range shots, which absolutely loved seeing from her.
No, I would agree. The Fever's attackers, they were sighting Fowler, and there was no hesitation to pass it in, whereas we've seen in the previous weeks, passing it into the other shooters, or like the likes of Liv Wilkinson back in GS, there was that bit of hesitation. They saw her, they knew she was there, and I think that's just the stability she also brings them. They know if the ball's going in the air, it's on.
There's still clearly some teething issues though. We saw, I guess, errors that we wouldn't normally see. We saw a little bit lower of a percentage from Janelle that we would ordinarily see. Some of the feeds were a bit off, and it really allowed Vixen's defence to get in there and confuse the space and get in for the intercepts and cause the errors. So, respect to Vixen's defence for doing that. Speaking of Vixen's defence, so we were chatting about this mid-game in regards to Rudy just wasn't quite creating enough pressure as she needed to, and I think we saw Simone chat to her.
Yeah, she was just a bit too on the body, I think, and that was taking away her ability to get up and get high because she was so fixated on being on her.
Yeah.
But that's why I actually quite like when Maggie Karras came on. I think that she plays very similarly like Emily Mannix. And I think,
so similar.
Maggie Karras ended up getting 3 games off Fowler, which is a very good feat for a youngster, because she was coming off the body a bit more, getting that space so that she could get up. Yeah. Because we did see Simone talk to her, but we didn't quite see the adjust happen from Rudy.
It's interesting because now I'm thinking about it, is the reason that Rudy was put on Janelle from the get-go based on how we have seen Janelle play such a holding shooter position in the past.
I would say so.
Yeah, and Rudy has always been kind of quite good at working against her.
And she's contested it pretty well, yeah.
But Janelle was moving so much.
Yeah, she definitely was. You could see there was an adjustment in the type, and then maybe I think that could also have been thrown a little bit because, a holding shooter is easy to defend with a defender that keeps on their feet. But if the holding shooter's moving, as a defender, you're thinking, oh, okay.
Absolutely love that Janelle is changing up what she can do now, even creating more variety. Absolutely loved it. Very similar to how we saw Romelda do that when she moved to Swifts, and all of a sudden she was pulling out all these other tricks out of her sleeve. But I also really liked seeing how obviously Simone recognised that, brought on a different defender with a different style, and then we really did see that pressure put on Fever's attack end immediately.
And I did also notice in Vixen's defence, you can see that Emily Mannix has left quite a hole in their defence because it almost felt like there were the changes that were happening through the defence and even through the rest of the team were coming thick and fast. It almost came across a little bit frantic, like, all right, we'll chuck you in GK and we'll chuck you in WD. Like there was too many changes that it sort of, Vixens struggled to get in a rhythm once they were going.
I really want to highlight how incredible Kate Maloney was in this game.
I love Kate Maloney. She was really contesting. I must say, I really liked her matchup with Jordan Kranzberg. I actually think they're very similar in the way that they play.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar.
Honestly, I would say potentially one of my favourite moves ever was when Kate got that flying intercept.
That was a beautiful take. Straight to Lily Graham. That was beautiful.
Like you couldn't write that.
You had to just clap. You had to just go, congrats. That was beautiful.
It was just absolute chef's kiss.
It was fantastic.
Beautiful. Love your work, Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really doing a whole amount of work in that centre court, and I think really keeping the momentum as much.
Trying her best to keep them in the contest.
Yeah, she was very much the pivotal piece in the Vixens team that day. So let's talk about Vixens' attacking end. Again, we saw a very similar situation that we've seen before from Vixens so far this season. The starting shooters, of course, Sophie Garbin and Kira Austin. And very quickly, we were seeing a very similar pattern where Kira, I thought, was doing fantastic. Her movement was beautiful. Sophie, I'm not sure why the volume and I'm not sure what's happening there. What do you think?
I mean, it's almost like she's in her head too much these days, I feel. But also...
Do you think it's the pressure because she won the Liz Ellis Award last year and now it's almost she's put that pressure on herself?
I'm not too sure.
Might be a mental thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well. Mental does play a big role.
Yeah.
But also, we know historically whenever she does come up against those long Jamaican arms, she really struggles to overcome it.
Yes.
And so we do sort of see her the errors start to creep in. And credit to Katie Anderhaney. I thought she really had a great game.
Oh, she did, yeah.
The end of the second quarter when one of them was going up for a shot and that beautiful block in the last second.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, as soon as I saw that, I thought there's no way Sophie's getting back on the court after that. It'll go to Lily because that is going to get into her head 100%. Any shooter would spook you. Having a rejection like that spooks you.
Oh, immediately. If I would just literally go, well, all right.
Just take myself off the court.
Sorry, I won't even bother. Sorry about that, guys.
No, Katie is one of those defenders that is just like, the way that she like moves her arms around so much is so confusing and intimidating. And it just absolutely does the job.
And I know that there was a lot of like, not panic, but there was a lot of, when we heard that Ruth was out with her injury.
Yes.
As well as Sunday with her ankle. And then, I mean, to Fever's credit, they have such good depth in defence.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I really felt that Fran and Katie put on a full 60-minute performance. You could just see them build as the game went, and it just built the pressure and built it. And then they were just so in sync by the end. Like, they really, really built and really made it hard. But
no, 100%. They didn't miss a beat.
No, they were in it. They had a hand in everything. So credit to them. But also Lily Graham. I thought, I was actually sort of hoping that she would have come on sooner. Yeah. Because
we've said that a couple of times now, haven't we?
For a youngster, the way that she can come up against the experience, like, to have that confidence to put up those shots and sink those twos is a real credit to her. Like, she has a big future ahead of her.
Oh, she really does.
If she keeps playing. Yeah. She's just so calm, cool, and collected. That's what you want from a shooter.
And it works so smoothly with Kira as well. We've seen that
definitely.
time and again.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a Sophie Lily combo. Maybe we have. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But I do remember always thinking how smoothly that seems to really work. Lily
she really slots
a lot more options.
She does, and you could almost see as well when she came on, the initial Katie sort of had to then adjust because what she was doing for Garbin obviously wasn't working, because the way Lily likes to hold quite higher and then go in for the drive, as opposed to Garbin, who sort of likes to work a bit more close to the post. But yeah, I thought she just came on really well, and I really hoped that she'd come on a little bit sooner. Because by the rest of the game, Vixens were essentially a little bit in chase mode. They just couldn't break that buffer that Fever had just created.
We have seen, this is the thing, I've always said, like, I think no team comes back like Vixens. We have seen them absolutely fight back and win from the most insane deficits at like third quarter. My gosh, I am always so impressed by their ability and not give up. But at the same time, it just isn't working at the moment. Yeah. Something's
off. Something's
gelling.
Yeah.
They're at the bottom of the ladder. Mm-hmm. And this is a team that haven't had, like, other than Emily Mannix being off, they haven't had any shocking absences. Obviously, Janelle was a real pillar of Fever, and then the two of the main defenders severely injured
so
or
they
seriously
were quite big
injured.
outs from the Fever side. Yeah.
Yes, huge changes from Fever. Then obviously we had Kelsey Brown stepping down into a training partner position. So Fever's really had changes across the board for this year. Yeah. They had a lot more, I guess, statistically against them starting the season. Vixens didn't. So I'm just wondering what has gone wrong, based that it's almost the same team that did much better last season.
Yeah, no, it's definitely food for thought. Something's definitely off because Vixens are usually known as a very clinical, smart team.
Vixens, I don't think I've seen them be so low on the ladder since they had Liz, and then Liz was out for a foot injury. And then that season was definitely like a huge blow for them.
Just like Fever, I don't think Vixens will stay down long.
No. Where are Giants at the moment, actually? I think Giants are at bottom, aren't they? Yeah, because they have no wins.
Giants are at the bottom.
Yeah. We saw Vixens play a very uncharacteristic strategy. So far this season, they have never been a team that has relied on the 2-point shot. Like, they traditionally have always relied on, getting the lead with the 1 point traditional and then only reverting to the 2 points if absolutely necessary, but they've never been a team that has heavily relied on it. Will we see a complete strategy change this season? Because so far, they have been put into chase positions where then they are desperately trying to grab back the score with the twos.
When I see teams in chase, when they're in a bit of chase mode and they're catching up for the 2 points, it does seem very like, okay, this is like a desperate attempt to try and claw it back. Before Lily Graham came on, Vixens were 11 points down and they finished the quarter 7 points down because of the hitting those super shots. So very well could be. I think we might see more of it, and if we do see more of it, will we see more of Lily Graham? I mean, Sophie Garvin did go up to post in the end there when she came back on.
She did sink a few 2-point shots, yeah.
Personally, I found it interesting call. I thought Lily was doing a really good job out there, and I thought she was contesting really well. To then see them revert back to Garvin towards the end, I thought was interesting.
Do you think we're going to see Lily start?
Ooh, I don't know. If she keeps up this sort of performance, we could very well.
Well, this is the thing. Lily seems to be performing better in normal time.
Yeah, that is a good point. And they're very aware. So, I mean, what's more motivating for you to want to be on court than thinking someone else is going to take my spot if I don't step up?
100%. I always think about like the pros and cons of being in that kind of competitive environment where you always see the pros, the smiling faces, the camaraderie, we're all a team, we're all friends. But it is a very competitive environment.
And it has to be. And I guess sometimes the only way that you can improve and step up is by having someone at your ankles.
Yeah.
I feel like especially this season, it's been, if you're not going to perform, we're going to put someone else on that, we'll do it. Yes. And I feel like that's been the shift this season, whereas last season we would see a lot of the teams sort of just persist with it, whereas this time it's like, nah, cool, you're off. And they're not afraid to bench Diamond now.
We've got Swifts at the top of the ladder, undefeated so far. Who do you think are going to be the team that's going to get it done? Because they're beatable.
I think anyone's beatable at this point. Oh, it's a good question, though.
Our guess would have been Thunderbirds in regards to which team was going to get it done. I'd like to see Lightning get it done. I think Irvin is going to be a huge
very excited
challenge.
But unfortunately, we have to wait till round 7 for that. Yeah. So we've got a long wait. But I'm actually very excited to see. I think Ash Irvin is on fire.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see her.
Now it is time to name our player of the round. For me, I would say there's no surprise. I'm going to pick Cara Conan. I think that she did just phenomenally. She just had a great game. I was so happy for her. Great performance all around.
I've also gone with a Lightning player. I think Ash Irvin. I just think she had such a phenomenal game, and I think if we just continue to see this from her, very, very, very exciting things ahead.
Headlines of the week that we want to chat about. The first I really want to talk about, which is the significance of Cara's 2-point shots. And I think that, according to my comment section, has been, I think, a little bit lost on some people. And I just want to fill the gaps, because if you are not someone who is, I guess, staying on top of all of the discourse, all of the commentary, all of the shows, all of the articles, then you might not actually be aware that Cara has been receiving so much criticism, not just for the fact that she wasn't taking those 2-point shots when we've seen her do it, but generally because we haven't seen the best performance from her fairly consistently for the last year and a half. Even said herself that, she's going to make herself redundant if she doesn't fix things. Keeping that in mind, this is why it was such an emotional journey watching her play this entire 60-minute game superbly. in like the best performance I have seen her play. I think her time out in GA has really added a lot more variety to her gameplay, the way that she commands the ball, she creates the play. It was definitely, I think, the best game I've seen her play ever. And so then there was already an emotional journey for that if you are, you know, a Kara fan. To top that off with not one but 2 super shots, after all of the criticism she's received, it was just the icing on the cake. So it wasn't just about, oh, a shooter took 2 super shots, what's news about that? They do that all the time. It wasn't about that. It was, there's a lot more context to it and a lot more of an emotional journey that happened to even get to that icing on the cake. Just wanted to explain it because I think that that context has been lost on a few people who didn't quite understand, I guess, like the reaction, the emotional reaction that people had. Jenna, can you just touch on what we're seeing for round 4?
So round 4, we have on Saturday, Giants versus Thunderbirds.
Giants versus Thunderbirds. I would say there's almost no point talking about it. Thunderbirds going to take the win.
I think so. I think a wounded Thunderbirds are going to be hungry for that win. Fever versus Lightning.
Fever versus Lightning. I don't want to pick because obviously I'm a Fever fan, but I'm also a Lightning fan. So, yeah, I'm going to not pick. You pick.
I'm going to go Fever.
I'm gonna politely back out of that one. By the way, these are the games that test our friendship.
Between the Vixens and the Mavs, I actually think this could go either way.
Yeah.
Because Mavs have been really playing well.
They have.
Especially with Shimona Jock as well. And similar
Do you think we'll see Sasha back?
That's another question mark.
Yeah.
Will we see Sasha back? Will they continue to take a bit of a cautious approach?
Unique actually did a great job though, didn't she?
I think she did pretty well. But Shimona Jock's the star of the show, and if it'll definitely be on the Vixens to slow the ball down, that feed coming into her from the midcourt.
Yes, and she is that strong holding shooter that we were discussing earlier. So
yeah.
I would say we'll see Rudy Ellis.
I would say so. Yeah. It'll be a tight one.
But I think with the way that things are going at the moment, I think I'm actually going to give it to Mavs.
I would possibly tip Mavs too. We have seen a bit of an uncharacteristic bit of a disconnect from Vixens. But if Vixens, that's being said, if Vixens can just switch on and get click together, they will be unstoppable.
This is the thing, like Brown on Mavs is such a pesting GD. She is the kind of like GD that I hate playing against. Like she's just really makes your life hard. And I'm not sure how Austin's going to do against her because she is very much like we've seen her shut down Steph before. Like I think it's going to be very interesting how Austin and Brown pair up. That's going to almost be what's going to cost the game is whoever wins that battle.
I actually think that will probably be one of my most looking forward to games because it could go either way.
Yeah.
And I love a close contest except when it's too close.
And fourth game?
Swifts versus Firebirds.
Oh yes, Swifts versus Firebirds. I would say we're going to give it to Swifts.
I think we're going to give it to Swifts.
That's it from us for another week. So don't forget, as usual, to subscribe and like this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, follow us and please give us a 5-star review if you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to share these with your netball besties as well. That really helps our channel out a lot. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you on the other side of round 4.